All right. Well, I'm here with Elizabeth McCall, Master Distiller at Woodford Reserve, and we're getting ready for Derby. And I wanted to talk about because we just put a new hot price on our Woodford Reserve 1 liter Derby bottle, and every year they pick a different artist, usually with a local tie-in. So, Elizabeth, good to see you, and maybe tell us a little bit about this year's label.
Yeah, good to see you, Matt. And this year's label is the artwork is stunning. And our artist this year is Humberto Lajara, and he is Cuban. And his story is absolutely amazing. He's only been in the U.S. for 3 years, and he lives in Louisville. And he just has such an amazing story of self-taught with his art and then studying it as he got older and just really, really leaned into it and has developed his craft. And he's so passionate about it. And so seeing it come to life on the bottle, it's just been great to share this experience and ride with him and all the notoriety he's getting. So he did an article with Forbes and being celebrated. So it's just really, really exciting.
I think about even if a local painter in like Louisville or Indianapolis, does pretty well, I'm sure they can never imagine like their artwork, all over the place. It must be really cool for them to see it come to fruition.
Yeah. And I feel like Humberto is really seizing this moment. Like, it's such an amazing opportunity. There's so much attention to it. I mean, he just did the artwork for the governor for his Derby portrait of a horse. And so it's such a unique style that he has with all the vibrant colors and the movement he's created in the piece. So it's just really cool because you can be an artist and then, because I don't know anything about the art world, but the way that it really comes to life for me when we do these every year with different artists, and it's beautiful to see how well they're embraced.
Yeah, it's a great collaboration. It's always a cool project. I love seeing the new bottles come out, and it's perfect. Like if you're throwing a Derby party, or if you're just even watching the Derby, I always tell people, buy 2 bottles, one to keep and collect and one to enjoy, during the day, which will be like 75, sunny, partly cloudy, correct?
Yes, it's going to be idealistic on Derby Day. And I mean, you are so right, though. You have to if you're going to have a Derby party, you have to have Woodford Reserve there. And buy 2 bottles because you do want to keep one to display. And then you pour from it and enjoy it. So it's a great day. And you can start early with the mint julep. It's a marathon of a day with all the coverage and everything. And the race doesn't go off until 6:57.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got all day. Can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning. So
that's true. I didn't say it, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's walk through maybe like a typical like Derby week for you. Are you you're up at 4 a.m. and that day, every day goes until about 10 p.m. You don't see your family for an entire week. How brutal is the schedule?
It's honestly this week is crazy because we do lots of bottle signings and events. So I've done dinners and things it's just been busy. And then next week is all focused at the track. And so I'll be there, kind of Monday, Tuesday are days that are holding days. I've got a few little events, but nothing major. But Wednesday we do our big media day, and we're there at 4:45 in the morning, and I'll be there all day hosting media and doing different things. And then Thursday is another day at the track, some media engagements. And then Thursday is kind of a fun day. I get to enjoy the Oaks a little bit and still working. I think I only have one thing. And then Derby Day is just the big day. And it's like all this build up and excitement to that moment, and then it's over. It's like your wedding or something. There's so much anticipation, and then it's all over. But it's such a fun day, and one of the things, I'll be drinking my Spires because I mentioned a mint julep. Mint juleps are great, but Spires are really taking off. And for everyone who doesn't know what that is, and if you're hosting a Derby party, it's the best cocktail. Everyone loves it. I don't know anybody who doesn't like Aspire because it's just Woodford Reserve bourbon. So 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces Woodford Reserve bourbon, and then 2 ounces lemonade, 1 ounce cranberry juice. You can make a big pitcher of it, It's super easy. You probably have all the ingredients at the store. So
Oh yeah.
one-stop shopping.
Yes. That's a great reminder. So then like when you're done, is it like crash out with some PBR and pizza like 11 p.m. or do you just want to go home and do nothing?
So when I usually do like a media spot on national television late in the day. So I have to compose myself throughout the day, keep it cool. And then after that, I'm like, I go to my seat. I'll definitely get a very healthy pour of Woodford. And I chill out. And then we are getting pizza. So we'll close out the night with pizza and then I'll go home and I'll just be a zombie. I mean, hopefully the kids are already in bed and I can just sleep and I want to sleep in the next day and just recover. But I don't know. I've got 2 small kids, so that they don't make that easy. Like,
yeah, I know if my wife has like a late work event and she comes home at like 9:30 or 10 and the kids aren't in bed, then that's not good.
No,
they better be in bed.
They better be in bed by the time I get home so I can just chill. And and then I just want to do nothing. I want to watch reality TV and just space out. Like that's what I want to do.
Exactly. So when you are in a job like yours where you're talking about a topic that you've talked about, thousands and thousands and thousands of times, like, do you have to be conscientious about knowing like when you're going into autopilot and then like kind of snapping back and like when you're really talking, when you're really trying to connect and be passionate about it? And I imagine like that's a difficult thing to do, like, because it's probably very easy for you to go into autopilot to talk about the brand and those things. And you could probably do that in your sleep. But then like when you really want to try to connect with somebody about it, then that's like a different thing. So are you aware of that, or do you have to like practice and think about how you do that?
Something that I do find that I will kind of go on autopilot about things, but then I get to talking and every day I feel like I learn something new or have something new that happens and I gather more information. And so I want to share that with people. And so I start to go off on tangents. And I feel like every time I talk, I say something a little bit different or I share something a little different. But like weird moments, like I went to Australia and I had to do, we were just trying to pack in my time with like things. So we did the same sort of presentation 3 times in a row. And I felt like I was on autopilot and I'm like, did I already talk about this or is this a new group? And trying to sound like when you tell a joke, that's where it's weird, where you're like, I just told this joke and like, is it still funny? Like 10 people in this room heard me say that, an hour ago, and now I'm saying it again. And that's kind of embarrassing because they're like bad dad jokes. And so that's where I get self-conscious of that. Cause I'm like, this isn't going to hit the same way it did the first time I told it. But I don't know. That's the only time. But yeah, it does get, because it's all pretty much the same information. I mean, Woodford Reserve Bourbon's not changing. So if I do dinners with people and I'm doing the same thing, I try to just bring in like projects I'm working on and things that make it different to share something new.
Yeah, it's probably a fine line between like, like a media trained zombie, because like you could do it that way. And then also like, you want to do a professional presentation, but it has to feel personal. And it seems like it'd be a challenge just mentally kind of focusing on how to do that.
Yeah. And that's where I get into like the work I do, like, cause and this make me think, I just did a dinner the other night. And so we were tasting the rye whiskey and I'm like, well, let me tell you about Kentucky rye and all the work we're doing with the farmers and trying to get rye back in Kentucky. And that's something I'm really passionate about, but there's such a small, opportunity for me to talk about it. And so I feel like at dinners like that, I'm like, well, I don't know if you want to know about this, but here's the grain recipe, but let's talk about rye growing in Kentucky. And I have your attention right now. So I'm going to share with you all the cool sustainability work we're doing and how I get to pretend like I'm a farmer for a few months out of the year. And like, or not even, I mean, I just pretend like I just talk to them like, oh, I know about crop rotation, but I don't. But I like to get into it because it's so fascinating. But I try to share that stuff and weave it in to keep it fresh because if not, I don't want to just be like a brand ambassador, like, because that's not all, that's a small portion of my job.
Right. Yeah. So, okay, just macro level, we're still sort of coming off of the pandemic, people's drinking habits, people sort of re-examining their whole relationship with alcohol and dry January. There's just so many things I just hear like the talking points from every brand and everybody in the industry. So I'd love to kind of get, your kind of personal view of things. Like, I think if you go back 5 years, people were just trying to throw money at the industry and everybody wanted to start a big project and a brand or a distillery and all this investment. And now things are sort of seeming to kind of settle back down to earth and people are kind of going with tried and true and brands they know and things that are consistent and not necessarily willing to make those $70, $80, $90 bets with their money on something that's like not been around very long. So where do you kind of, not where do you think, but where would you hope to see the bourbon industry, 3 years from now, from where it is today?
It is interesting. And as you were talking, I was thinking about, we're in Derby season and I was thinking about horses and I've always, I grew up riding horses and horses can get, and I've never been in a race, but like you gallop horses when you do cross country and this is going somewhere, it will make sense. But, you get out there and there's like, so 5 years ago, people were just like chomping at the bit to go and do and get more and like how we need to produce more, we need to sell more, we need to innovate, like get weird, all the things. And I feel like we Woodford Reserve were playing in that space, but we're kind of holding back a little bit. So I just think of like half halting my horse and getting like, I know you're excited. We know we're excited. Everybody's excited, but like, let's temper that and really be strategic and smart with our growth and not just do something and charge a big price for it and then not be able to follow that up and still build on that momentum. Because for us, it's like I feel like people were like, well, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't we? There was a lot of, just noise about like innovation and we should be innovating more and faster and doing more. And we stuck to our guns. And I feel like we're setting ourselves up in a way that we're going to be really healthy going into it. I've got a ton of fun stuff laid down. And then we had been planning for it even throughout that time period. So we'll be able to outpace and stay on track and end up, I think, just being ahead of the pack 3 years from now. And I hope that the industry stays strong. I saw an article that a major distillery went bankrupt in Kentucky and it's like, God, they didn't even get their chance to like do anything. And I don't want to see that. Because that's just huge investment. That's not good for anyone. So I hope that other distillers are pacing themselves too. I think that, it's unfortunate, maybe some of the smaller ones, they may not see the same success that they had been seeing. Hopefully they don't go away. But I think we've tempered ourselves and positioned ourselves to be really successful down this like next, because I do think like the next 3 years is going to be really interesting. Just seeing where tariffs fall out and how that impacts the industry. But I do feel very confident in where we've positioned ourselves. So that feels good. I feel happy and very lucky to be a part of Woodford Reserve that is a strong brand. So yeah. It tastes like home. It tastes like home to people. They're like, oh, this is just, so they know they can rely on it. And that's my biggest thing right now is like, I need to make sure that we maintain the quality and the integrity of that liquid.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's also like the challenge, which is, it's kind of an evergreen challenge of like, a certain generation, really kind of caught the industry on fire but like they're going to age out, they're going to grow. So maybe they just become regular bourbon drinkers and they pick a few brands that they like, and that's kind of what they stick to. But then you're going to have the challenge of the LDA, the 21, 22, 23-year-old who has so many other sort of options in their face. They've had a phone attached to their brain since they were, 12 years old, and so many other things that they're competing with, versus just like a beverage alcohol. So I think it'll be really interesting to see like how brands connect with that group of like potential customers. I don't know the answer.
I don't either. I mean, and we don't know, because it's interesting. It's like there's the time, like, I mean, I don't know. It's weird. It's like our generation, I don't understand people like not drinking a lot in college. Like that was what you did. And now I don't know if that's really the trend. But I do think like when you start to, I don't know, like maybe they're not binge drinking, but I think there's more appreciation for good quality and less. And so there may be more moderation, because they do have more options. There are more things, and health is something people really think about more in a different way than we did. But hopefully as you get older, there's something about that evening time, like coming home and having a nice something to just kind of unwind and check off the end of your day. Because as you get into the business world and you're working 9 to 5, and maybe you've got children, I don't know about you, but there's something that I love about 5 o'clock and pouring myself my glass of bourbon. And I remember my dad would always do that. My mom always has a beer, and I think people that don't, they're like, I'm not really a big drinker, but I do like to have my one at night. So maybe they'll move into that, but we really don't know. I mean, the answer is we really don't. And I think that for me, I just think we got to make good whiskey that's really good quality, that if you're not somebody who drinks a lot and you're going to, you have something that you're like, this is worth stepping into, like having a drink. This product is valued at that. And that's where I hope to kind of win over hearts.
Yeah, I think it's connecting with people at an experience level, not just a product level, that this is like this can be a part of your day or a part of your week that is special or meaningful, and like finding out what that experience is or will be for that particular, group of people. I also think there's like a real, and I don't think we talk about it a lot in the business, but like, I think there's a real art to moderation that people aren't very good at, like, and like putting that up there as like a value, or something to be valued, is like learning how to moderate. I don't know that culturally we're very good at it, but like, instead of like being all either puritanical about it or all hedonistic about it, like there is something really special when like how to do it in a way that is proper. And I don't know, but
I love that, because you think about other cultures, I have a colleague, he's from Venezuela, and he talks about how they grew up and like he was allowed to drink at a very young age. And so getting drunk is not the object of drinking alcohol. It is what, we talk about like at Brown-Forman, and it's about enhancing the experience and being together. And like, how do we flip that switch in our culture? Our culture is not, and I think because we're deprived. We're not allowed to drink legally until you're 21. And it's not part of like a sit down family meal where you sit down and it's just like a nice way to unwind at the end of the day. And it's a relaxing thing, and you have your one drink, and that's that. So it was interesting hearing that. You hear about that in other European cultures, where just a glass of wine is what you do. You have your glass and you're enjoying it because you enjoy the taste of it, and it's an experience, something you're going to sit down and do. And I feel like that when I do like make a cocktail at home, I'm like, when I want to take the time to do it, it's like this truly like, and it's beautiful, and I want to look at it and sip it and savor it because I just spent a lot of time making it. So it's so much more of that. I like that. thought. It just
Yeah.
made me think. I feel like that's something to start kind of sharing out more.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I just see that a lot, even just in friends, my friends' lives or family members, like, there's a way to like, there is a way to moderate that is like, there is an art to it. And I don't know that we're very good at it, but I hope that when people ask me about, drinking or drinking habits or things like that. And that's what I try to tell them is like, yeah, there's a way to do it. And nobody ever talks about it, but like, there is a way to do it, to like have that in your life and not let it be too much or too little or nothing at all. So anyway, but
Yeah. I like that conversation. I feel like that conversation needs to be had more. So I like that. I'm going to start because we talk about responsible consumption, and I feel like the responsible consumption, it's like, what does that really mean? What does it mean to you? And for us as a corporation or Brown-Forman, and it's like, well, it doesn't mean like, oh, you're not drinking, or like drink and then have water, drink and then have water. It's like, why are you drinking? Like, what's the thought behind it?
Yeah.
Flipping that story, that messaging.
Yeah. It would be interesting to see like somebody do a national campaign around like drink less, but here's how to do that. I kind of think like the sort of the early Maker's Mark campaigns that were pretty innovative, where it was like, it tastes expensive. It's expensive. It tastes expensive. A little bit more like trying to flip the coin and talk about it. So, plus there's just been so many great like ways that bourbon brands have communicated with their customers. So I think you're obviously a part of that, history now, but so you get to kind of shape the way brands, talk to their customers with your work, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. And I feel like it's like an opportunity with our kids. I mean, my kids grow up knowing like mom, like when Winnie, my daughter, sees my drink, she's like, oh, mommy's bourbon, and knows that. And like, it's a part of life, but it's not like, oh, when she does this, it's bad. It's like, I hope she doesn't think that. She's like, oh, but it's just kind of like a part of our life. And I'll like, so it's a cultural shift maybe.
Yeah.
But and just dealing, and I'm so curious to see what this like next generation, like because they're all like the ones that are like 20, 21, like what do they do when they get their late 20s? They have their career job, and
it'll be fascinating. So thank you. I really appreciate you joining us.